Hi, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a flip through of this new cooking elective from The Good and the Beautiful. So if you enjoy this type of content and other homeschool and lifestyle content, please remember to subscribe and let's get into it. So I wanted to start off by saying that I only really looked through the first lesson of this book, like more in depth. The rest of them I kind of glanced through some of the different recipes or what the lessons might be about. But I only really went through the first lesson and I'm already so excited about it. I feel like there's a lot of good content that's, there's recipes and cooking type stuff, but there's a lot of food science or just food education along with it that I'm very excited about. So I'm gonna open this up and start talking to you about what is in here. We haven't used it yet. We're going to be using it in the fall, but I wanted to be able to show you, some of you were interested in what was in it, kind of what it covers. So I'm going to show you some of those things. So when you first open this, it talks about the supplies needed. Mostly it is this book. You don't really need much else besides this. It does say to use the Good and the Beautiful homeschooling app, which is free. And I like it as a resource. That's where like the history curriculum, when you do the readings in the stories, they can read it for you and you don't have to read it, and it saves your voice. And also for music appreciation, we watched all the videos from the app and that was really nice. So when you go into the app, it has an electives course, and then clicking on that, you're gonna push the cooking one, and then it only has about 5 videos. And so there's 20 lessons in this book. And so I think it's just those 5 that need a little bit more, or a visual is good to be able to understand what you're supposed to do. And so they have 5 videos in there and they tell what lessons they're for. So just to give you kind of that extra help. And then it says you need color pencils for coloring, I guess. I don't really know. And then the cooking tools and ingredients. But I love how they give you all of that. List by list, they go through all the lessons. They have them all outlined, tell you all the tools you need and all the ingredients. It's one of my favorite things about so much of their curriculum. They give you all this notice of what you're gonna need for each of the lessons. So it goes through all 20 lessons, outlines all the different tools you're gonna need. There's even a picture that has all the kitchen tools in it, and it shows all the different tools that you're gonna need. Most of them seem pretty basic, like you probably already have them in your kitchen. Nothing super, super crazy. There might be a few things maybe you don't, but maybe your neighbor does. You don't need to go out and buy anything, I don't feel like, for this. So those are kind of the supplies that are needed. Fairly minimal, especially if you already cook and have a kitchen. And then you have just a few other things of how to get started with this, like the course overview, the lessons overview, getting started again with the homeschool app, and there's a QR code if you want to scan that to get to the app. And then some frequently asked questions. Like I already mentioned, there's 20 lessons and it's kind of intended that you do 1 or 2 a week. I guess it depends how long you want this course to last, right? I feel like 1 to 2 a week would be about a semester. Or you could do it faster, you could do it slower, just kind of depending on what your schedule is like. And so it's also intended to be completed independently. That's kind of the outline of it. And it's for 5th, I think, let me look at the cover again because I can't remember. It's for 5th through 12th grade. So most of those kids, should be able to read and do a lot of stuff mostly independently. Obviously, it's not discouraging parent involvement. You can totally be involved as much or as little as you want to be, but it has been created in a way that kids should be able to do a lot of it independently, which I do appreciate, especially having so many kids. It's hard for me to just drop everything and help one kid in the kitchen. Like if they just need a few things, like, where's this, mom, or something, and I can tell them where it is, that's one thing. But if I have to be there the whole time to help them out while they're trying to do stuff, that is really difficult for me because I have other kids that need to get schoolwork done and need help with things. So I like how it is meant to be an independent course. Also, the lessons, it says, should take about 45 to 60 minutes. This probably greatly depends on your child because this says it including cooking time. And so once I show you a lesson, you'll see that some of it, like there's some reading aspects to it. There's like little activities they get to fill out and stuff like that. So depending on how long, if they can read really quickly and understand and go through those things, and then also how quick they are in the kitchen. Some kids do really well in the kitchen at a quick pace, and some kids just take their time, which is also fine. to an extent. Sometimes it's like things just need to get done. Let's work on that. But so 45 to 60 minutes is generally what they were created for. But again, it probably is going to depend a little bit on your child, their personality, how familiar they are with the kitchen, and things like that. So the next several pages, as I already mentioned, are just lessons, all the lists of the lessons and extensive ingredient supply lists of what you need. And so what I would do personally is usually look a few weeks to a month out, depending on ingredients, because you don't want things to go bad, but just make sure I have all the things, and then maybe put in my calendar on like groceries this week, I need to add this for the cooking class, right? So it's already kind of planned out, and then it reminds me, my calendar reminds me that we need to add that so that my child is prepared with what they need for that week. And so I appreciate the list, and then it gives pictures of the kitchen tools, because sometimes just telling you the names, you might not know what that means. And pictures are helpful. I love pictures, especially pictures of food. That's very helpful. And so it gives all these pictures to help you out. And then we go to the table of contents. So it's going to list all of the, different things they're gonna be making and talking about. I did notice that the first 4 lessons are about eggs, probably because you can do a lot with eggs, and there's a lot of different ways to cook eggs. And so it has different ways there, and then other things you can use the eggs in, right? I think most of the things have a couple recipes they're going to be doing. And then it switches, there's fresh salsa, guacamole, grilled cheese sandwiches, sloppy joes, pancakes, crepes. My daughter's gonna be excited about crepes, penne with marinara, beef stroganoff. So those are just a few of them. So there's a variety of things. And then we get into the lesson. So the first one is on scrambled eggs and French toast. And it gives, again, supplies needed. If you haven't already figured it out, it tells you all the supplies. And then it's gonna talk a little bit about eggs and talk about why maybe they're good for you and give a fun fact. And then it will go through the anatomy of an egg, which I think is cool to learn about. Some kids might not even be familiar with that, or what an egg is, depending how much they use them. And so it goes through that, and then there's a little activity, and there's several of these throughout the lessons. And so they go through, they can answer it, and then there's an answer key at the back of the book that will give you all the different, answers, obviously. And so they can go through and look and see how they did. Because some of these are reading comprehension. Some of them are a little bit like math oriented. And so I think it's nice that it's playing to those different disciplines, but they can go and check and see if they got it correct. And if not, work through it and try to figure out what they did wrong. So there's that part that they can just independently go and check and see how they're doing. And then it's gonna go through egg sizes, which I think is important because I don't even know when I knew about egg sizes. That there's different sizes, and most recipes call for large. Generally, like if it doesn't say, like it's usually making it like it's a large egg. That's usually what it means. But unless you cook a lot, you're not gonna really know that. And if you're using different size eggs, it can affect the recipe. Some things it doesn't, and some things it will greatly affect it. So like if you're baking something, it's gonna be a lot more liquid. So this one is going to have a little activity that seems a little bit more math oriented to go with it. And then it's gonna talk about different types of eggs. Again, I love the whole like education process going on here. And that it isn't just, here's a recipe, go cook the recipe. I love that there's just so many different things for a child to learn as they're going through this course. So, it talks about duck eggs, quail eggs, goose eggs, and the differences there and some of the textures. And obviously quail eggs are super teeny, and just things like that. And then another activity, and then a fun fact. And then it talks about mise en place, which is preparing everything. It's a French word for everything is in its place. Okay, so I just know it means everything's ready to go. If you need to cut stuff, cut it all before, just kind of have everything ready to go. Sometimes I'm really good at this. Sometimes I'm just like in a rush and like, nope, we're just gonna kind of go. But it is nice when you everything's prepared, laid out. So as you get to the next step, you just have it all ready and you can just go. So it's going to go through some of these steps of making sure you're ready to cook. So, you know, start with a clean kitchen. Make sure there is a towel by the sink. Make sure there's a towel within reach. Read your recipe. Take out the equipment you'll need. Gather and prepare all the ingredients. Wash your hands, right? So there's lots of different things here to just, okay, when you go to cook, make sure your kitchen is ready for you to cook. Like there's a preparedness part to it. And then there's an activity that's like a visual activity. So there's a variety of activities that kind of cater to different learning styles, which I appreciate. And then we're gonna get to the first recipe, right? So we go through all that stuff and then we get to the first recipe, which is scrambled eggs. And it's going to go through and talk about all the things of making the best scrambled eggs. And mine probably are not the best to most people because I really like my eggs very cooked. And a lot of scrambled eggs aren't like very, very cooked, right? I don't like the like gooey-ness, nope. And so it's gonna go through the process and teach them how to make ideally the perfect scrambled eggs, right? It's gonna be some practice. That was one of the things it talks about in the beginning of the book is these recipes are intended to be easy enough that they can make them over and over again, they can adapt them and do different things, which at the end of this one, it has ideas for cheesy eggs, for veggie eggs, like different variations on the same thing. And then you get to the second recipe, which is French toast. So again, using those eggs to make something else. And with the ingredients, it goes through the process of making French toast and gives you these ideas at the end for a berry French toast. Or you could do a savory French toast. And that sounds interesting. I don't know if I've ever had a savory French toast, but I love how it gives the different options too, so that kids can experiment, they can come back to it, or maybe some kids just have preferences for certain things over others. And so they can go through and pick what sounds the best to them. Okay, so that is one lesson. Obviously there's 19 more and I'm not going through all of those, but I love the layout of how everything works out. I love the different activities, the education behind it. It seems very, very good. Obviously, I will have more reviews about it once we actually use the book and my daughter goes through the process. So far, I'm very impressed. I think it's going to be a really great experience for her and that she will mostly be able to do it independently. She has cooked quite a bit, and so she is more familiar with doing stuff in the kitchen and working with different things, so that might be an advantage to her. But there's gonna be stuff in here too that she is not as familiar with and hasn't made before, so that will also challenge her. All right, I hope you enjoyed this little bit of a flip through of this Cooking One book from The Good and the Beautiful. I'm excited to have my daughter use it. Let me know down in the comments if you're using this as for an elective or what you are using for an elective, if it's a cooking course of some sort or just something else your kids are really excited about doing this fall. Remember to give this video a thumbs up and I will see you next time.